Hey everyone. This week I decided let's revisit Jellyfin now that I've set up my second Jellyfin server. So let's talk about why I had to do a second one. The computer that I had for the first one only had 4 gigs of RAM. It was functioning well. If it was being used as a single person server, it was probably acceptable. Not great. It would play the movies, but don't jump ahead and don't pause too much. Those kinds of minor issues. But it did all the metadata. It let me run trailers. It took all the care of that for me. But what I did was I decided to set up a real Jellyfin server now that I've tested it out and got it working. So I thought I would break down what I did, why I did it, and how much did it cost. So let's start with the cost part first. I went on eBay and I got a refurbished computer. It had 32 gigs of RAM. It had a 500 gig hard drive in it with Windows 11. Now, I rebuilt the Jellyfin server using Linux, Mint Linux. But I went with that because there was no other option. The refurb came with the operating system, so I got the operating system. What I decided to do, and you don't have to do this, is to pull out that main drive, and I replaced it with a 4 terabyte drive. My original thought was to use the 4 terabyte as a secondary drive, but because I went with a smaller form factor, it doesn't have enough room in it to put a second drive. So I took the 4 terabyte drive and put it in there. Then I went out and bought a couple of 4 terabyte USB drives. Now, the reason I bought 2 is I wanted to make sure that I had a backup. I don't want to have to rebuild this thing from scratch again. It takes a while to transpose or transcode the DVDs into digital formats. All of my DVDs are in MKV format. They take about 18 minutes a piece to go in, and I have approximately 270 movies. At 270 movies, I'm using just over a third of the 4 terabyte drive. So when you think about it, that's close to 1,000 movies that you could put on a 4 terabyte drive. Now, when you think about the backup, your backup drive, you're going to want to make it a little bit bigger, if you can, than your primary drive. And the reason for that is you also have the Jellyfin configuration and data that you want to back up as well. And that's going to take up a little space. But by going USB and the way Jellyfin is set up, you can add multiple drives. So let's get into Jellyfin itself then. Jellyfin allows you to set up a collection, if you will, a repository that is themed. So you can have music, you can have movies, you can have videos, you can have audiobooks. It goes out for you and it will get the cover art, right? It'll take care of the metadata for you. You can use it to play trailers. It'll go get the trailers for you if you have it set up. In addition to that, each one of these little repositories that you've got, for example, movies, can have a series of directories underneath it that it will go look up the movies in. So if you add another drive, you can just add another drive, set it up as a mount point. Again, I use Linux, set it up as a mount point, and then have that go through and look for movies there. It will do a live lookup. It works quickly. The computer I got is a 32 gig computer. So it cost me under $300 for the computer. It cost me under $120, barely. So we'll say $300 for the computer, right? $120 for each of the 2 drives that I'm putting in it. So now I'm into it $540, right? If you need network cable, you'll have to add that in. I did not get a monitor or keyboard or a mouse with it because I didn't see the point. I already had other equipment in the house, but if you were to add that, I picked up a keyboard at Staples for $12. You can get a little mouse, portable mouse for about the same thing. So let's say you're now in at $600. All right. So you've got $600 worth of investment in that media server that handles all of the background stuff for you. It handles all the presentation for you. It has an app. So if you have a smartphone or a tablet or a phone, smart TV, you can go through and just use the application, which will, if it's on the same network that you're on, find the server for you. There's a quick connect that allows you to say, okay, here's my app. A number comes up on the screen. You log into your Jellyfin account on a web browser, punch in that number. Your television is now authenticated, and you can now play. It's that simple. I have so many movies that I probably don't need a streaming service. All right. That's one of the reasons I did it. The other reason I did it is I have so many movies that I wanted a quick and easy way to just get them and play them. But thinking about it from a pure monetary standpoint, if you look at a streaming service, right, it's usually, $10 a month? It's $120 a year per streaming service. Some of them being more. I haven't seen any that are really less than $10. So the $600 investment plus buying the DVDs, which I'll get back to in a moment, is an investment, and it can be more expensive than if you had a streaming service. However, seeing as it's on your internal network, you don't have to worry about what your bandwidth is. You don't have to worry about if your network, your external network, is up or down. You can just play your movies. You're also, for people who care about this, not leaving a digital trail of what movies you watched. I'm just adding that in. So, what about the DVDs? Well, there's a lot of people, especially on eBay, selling DVDs cheaply. Some are used, some are new. I've picked up some new ones in the $12 to $20 range, and I picked up some used ones in the $4 to $8 range. All right. So you can sometimes find a bundle. In other words, they've got 20 or 30 random movies that they'll send you, and you might find some winners in there. I did that. I got more than half of the cash was something that I would like to use. Of that, I had 2 duplicates in the entire batch. So I thought I made out pretty good there. There were some in there that I didn't really care about, like the Pilates ones. There's some television series in there that I'm kind of going back and forth whether I want to load those in or not. I do have TV series in here. That is one of the options that you can add into Jellyfin, and I've got over 100 episodes of television programs that I put in there. So I will not have a need to worry about what I want to watch for a very long time. If I were to just do the movies once a week, there's 52 weeks in a year. So at 5 years, that's 260 movies. So I have 5 years worth of movies right now in there that I could watch at one a week, right? Come home on a Friday night, Saturday night, don't have something to do, pop in a movie and go. I also have entire series like John Wick. I can throw that in on a weekend and watch all 4 John Wick movies and do my own movie marathon without having to worry about which streaming service has which movie that I want to watch, right? That's the other advantage here. Typically, they'll put them onto a streaming service, but sometimes not, or they may have rolled one of them off that you want to watch, so you've got to go find it someplace else. And this one, I don't have to worry about it. The entire series is where I want to get it, and I can just go watch. and I can go get a series like Firefly and put it in there and put it in the right order and watch Firefly from beginning to end if I want to. So for me, it took a curiosity. What would it be like to have a media server like this into a, wow, this is really cool to have. Plus I can share, which to me is wonderful. I have a remote friend. She and I can watch the exact same movie at the exact same time. It has a sync setting in it, which worked somewhat on the 4 gigabyte unit. And I think it was because of the age of the box that I was having issues with it. But what sync allows you to do is literally you're watching the same movie at the same point, right? Which is awesome. It allows you to share the experience of a movie at the same time with somebody else. But it also means that within a house, for example, if for some reason you needed to be separated, you could share the movie. For example, if somebody was ill in the house and was sequestering themselves in their room, they could, on their own TV or a tablet or the phone, watch the same movie as everybody else in the house. I once had that set up in my house from a sharing standpoint of a video setup that I had, so I could actually do that if needed. It never came up, but it was interesting to have something like that. And one thing, if you haven't discovered about me already, I love to experiment with things. So if something new comes along, I'll want to take a look at it. Now, you're going to say, well, something like Jellyfin or Plex is not new. And no, it isn't. What brought it to my attention was the fact that Plex was raising their fees on things, and Jellyfin's completely free. So that got me looking at it, and then I thought, would I really want something like that? Well, I've got old hardware in the house that isn't being used. Let me see what would happen if I set it up. Now, why did I use Linux? Windows has a really nice headless version of itself. Unfortunately, it's not a consumer thing. Now, the difference is it doesn't have all of the graphical interface, which I get with Mint. You know, I have a minimalist graphical interface there. But what that affords you is you don't have all of the other services that you would normally have up and running, which means it takes up less CPU, it takes up less hard drive space. With a 32 gig box, it probably doesn't matter. If I left the Windows in there and just went with a Windows version of Jellyfin, but seeing as I had everything set up, why bother? And another point on the expense, if you're going to share your Jellyfin outside of your house, even if it's for you while you're on the road, right? A great way to use this is if you have to travel, you have your entire media library with you at all times. It doesn't work on a plane, although I will point out that Jellyfin allows you to download. So you could download it to your tablet and take it with you, but you're in a hotel, you're traveling, you can gateway into your machine at home. To do that, you're going to have to make sure that you can, that your internal port for Jellyfin is accessible externally, which I would recommend only use the encrypted port, and you're going to have to go get a certificate. I would recommend you buy a certificate. They're inexpensive. Most I saw was like $50 for getting a certificate. So you get a domain, which is usually $10 to $12 a month. With that domain comes the ability to make up an address record, right? So you're going to put your IP address of your home into that. So let's say you got it through GoDaddy. you have your domain, you go into GoDaddy, you pop in the address record so that the item is in that address, your home address, IP address, is in there associated with that domain. On the Jellyfin server, you're going to put the certificate that you purchased so that now you have a completely encrypted login. All right, that's the big thing. You don't want your login to be in the clear. I would also recommend that you, if you're going to be using this on the road, that you have a VPN on your device so that when you are traveling, you can still use the Wi-Fi of the hotel, but because you've got the VPN, you've got that layer of protection, right? So that's what I recommend that you do for travel on the road. But again, it would be insane for me to pack up 270 movies to take with me. Now, I could put together a few and take them with me, but let's think about this for a minute. Maybe I decide I want to watch something different, right? Maybe I really want to see a comedy tonight and all I packed were action movies. It's not an issue anymore. You can just go to your Jellyfin server and go get it. So it gives you a great deal of flexibility. And I think it's awesome if you travel a lot because it gives you the ability to do what you have to do and then come home and relax and watch whatever it is you want to watch. So for me, the money is an aside because it allows me to have this flexibility and this freedom. And that's what I got for you guys this week. I'll talk to you all next week.